interesting part of this event is definitely the panel discussion with the students who are currently at the destinations. I'm personally very much looking forward to hear the situation. My colleague Jonas, if you can change the slide. So personally, I have been studying abroad 2 times by myself. I'm not a student anymore, maybe you can see it from my small wrinkles already. But I used to study first in Athens, in Greece, as an Erasmus student, and then in 2005 in Shanghai, China. So I can tell from my heart that how it can be really a life-changing experience. And at minimum, it's the most fun experience of your study years. For me, it meant going to study abroad that we established a company, which we run today. Also, I met my current, or my wife, in Asia because of a work trip, so it really plays a very important role in my life. And yeah, today, after my opening, which takes still like 10 minutes more, we are going to have a keynote from Anton John Grace, a very good person to talk about the data and about different opinions from a student perspective as well, how is the current situation with COVID-19. And after that, around in 20 minutes, we will be moving to the panel discussion with students. After that, we will be having a question and answers. And already now, I think my colleague could present you the first poll question that we have. So during this event, you will be seeing around 10 to 12 different questions that we are asking from the audience. So let's try to make this very interactive. So we want to know how you feel about going abroad and what destination you are most interested in and so forth. So just pay attention, and this is also a way how we can see that are you active there behind the screens. Great. So our story, so that you know a little bit why Asia Exchange exists. As I mentioned, I was studying abroad by myself with my good friend Thomas, and we both are coming from Finland, where the company is also established. And after that experience, we came to realize that, hey, we should provide this kind of opportunity for also other students, because it was such a great thing, and also there wasn't enough study places in Asia through universities' own agreements. And the first years, that was kind of a serious hobby for us, and we did that in parallel with our daily jobs. But then we took the risk and became like 100% full-time edupreneurs, so educational entrepreneurs. And nowadays, Asia Exchange is a company of around 20 people. We have more than 10 partner universities in 7 different countries, and we have been sending more than 7,000 students to study abroad. And the only continent we haven't had any students yet is Antarctic, so we still need to fix that issue. But as you can see from the picture, might be that they are behind the ball at the moment, but Asia is very diversified continent, so you can find everything from paradise islands to the most biggest like mega metropole cities on the planet. And that's something you can experience during your like one semester, and that's not really possible in all of the continents on our planet. So today, I think we are the most international and most kind of student-oriented study abroad provider, which is focusing only to Asia. And the cornerstones have always been that we want to provide this for as many students as possible, and also with as affordable price as possible. So we believe that that is the best way to change the world, and also to provide life-changing experiences if you have a chance during your study years to experience also something else than your home country. So that's why we really believe everybody should study abroad, and if possible, more than once. And usually, the more further you go, the more you as well you learn. So that's why Asia. And some other things why Asia. There has been a study made by PricewaterhouseCoopers that by 2030, 4 out of 5, the biggest economies in the planet, they will be Asian countries. So that's already pretty good justification. At the moment, 65% of all the population in the world are living in Asian countries. And moreover, that's the only continent in the world where it is possible to have affordable tuition fees. Of course, usually if you go to study abroad via your home university, you might be waived off of any tuition fees. But as said, there's not enough places available for everybody. That's why Asia. And these 10 facts here, they apply to any study abroad program, any study abroad destination. But the further you go, the more different kind of place you go, the stronger these points are. I cannot highlight enough how important, how life-changing this all can be. But even the last point, at minimum, you are going to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And for this reason, I think this virus, this pandemic we are now having, it shouldn't stop anybody going abroad, at least at some point of your studies. For some of you, it might be that the upcoming semester is the only one that you are allowed to go. That might be your final chance to go. So my recommendation is that if it's still possible, if it's safe to go, if the borders are open, then you should go. Okay, then we are going to go through a little bit what are the situations in different destinations of ours. So here we have divided them to East Asia and Southeast Asia. So first East Asia, and in China, at Shanghai, where I also studied myself 15 years ago, they are open for intakes still. We have application open still, I think, until end of June. This ongoing semester, it was cancelled for the international students. And as everybody remembers, the virus started in Wuhan in China. And then after that, Korea was one of the biggest epicenters of the virus. But now those are countries which are dealing the best at the moment with the situation. And it seems that in Europe, in America, we are now suffering the most. So this is how the wave is going. And we hope, of course, nobody can tell for sure what is the situation in half a year or 1 year, and is there going to be a second wave coming. But might be that if there's a second wave coming, it's not yet in autumn, but it's later in 2021, in the spring or something. Nobody can tell for sure. But what we know is that the world, the people, they are more prepared to face these challenges again. And as mentioned, Shanghai University is open, and there hasn't been too many cases in China, which is a country of 1.5 billion or so people. It's pretty well there at the moment. Taiwan has been one of the role model countries. There have been very few cases of positive COVID-19 people. And also our programs already at the current semester, they are running there normally. And I'm happy that we have also one panelist who is at the moment studying in Zhejiang University there. So you are going to hear from a French student with your own ears how the situation is. Korea, well, I came myself a bit more than 1 month ago from Korea, and I was happy to meet more than 50 of our students there. And just an example, we had 54 students there this semester, but only 3 of them decided to go back because they felt that it was so much better and much more safe in Korea, in Seoul, than in their home countries. The on-campus classes started a couple of weeks ago for less than 30 students. We also have our Austrian student, Yvonne, who is studying in Korea at the moment. She's one of the panelists. And then also we have a very short video. Let's try to run it now. It's from Maija, who also studies in Korea at the moment. She's from Finland. Okay, I heard that not all of you were hearing the voice, the audio from Maija, but basically she was saying that that even if you are at the moment in doubt about should you go or not, you should go. That was her message. She's very much enjoying the life in Seoul at the moment with her fellow students. Next slide is about Southeast Asia. So yeah, we have many destinations there, and for example, in Bali, in Indonesia, which is one of our most popular destinations always, there we have life is getting slowly back to normal, and the students and our team, we have our own team there as well, they have reported that at the moment it's actually like Bali used to be 20 years ago, so it's not crowded at all, and life is very smooth there at the moment. Students are taking classes at the moment online, but for the upcoming autumn semester, they are planning to have them run normally. There is application still open for the upcoming semesters, and we are also having a November semester with one of our partners there, so you can apply very late if needed. Vietnam, which is our most recent destination, they also started on-campus classes 2 weeks ago in a foreign trade university. So that's one example country as well that they have taken care of the situation very well. We also have one Ida from Finland, who is at the moment living in Ho Chi Minh City, where our university is as well, and she's going to take part to the panel. To Malaysia, the semester was postponed until October, the start of the semester, so that means that there is better chances to get your visas and everything organized. In Thailand, quite many universities have decided to cancel international student mobility for upcoming semester, but we have 2 universities, Siam and University of Thai Chamber of Commerce, which is our newest partner, who are still planning to run the semesters as planned. Okay, well, very shortly about different actions taken during this outbreak. Well, we try to have as flexible and student-friendly like cancellation policies, refund policies as possible. But now, because of this, it's even better. So students can still apply, and they can cancel or postpone very late without any extra costs. So we try to make it possible for you that you have a chance to go if there is a slightest chance to go. And what else? For example, extended deadlines. So there's no other programs that you can still apply like a month before the start of the semester. So all these kind of flexibilities are there. Now, there is also a picture about the current situation with COVID-19. So as you can see, there's quite much dots in Europe and also in America, and Russia has a big spot as well. So this means that actually the safest destinations on the planet are at the moment in Asia. Okay, well, at this point I would like to give the stage for my good friend Anton John Crace, who has been reporting of students and international student mobility already for a very long time. He has also been recognized of his achievements with different kind of prizes. So, Anton, how do you see the situation now with student mobility and student wishes for international mobility at the moment?
Thank you very much for having me on the webinar, Hari. As you can see, as I was introduced, I'm Anton John Crace. I'm the editor and program designer at QS Quacquarelli Simmons. I've been in lockdown in Singapore now for 2 months, which is why my hair is substantially longer than in my photo. But I suppose, for those of you who don't know, QS is probably best known for doing the university rankings. We also do a bunch of other things that I'll talk about in a little moment. Now, I've been given 10 minutes to speak, but I think the real stars of the webinar are the students, so I'll try not to take too much time up and let them speak a little bit longer. So one of the things that QS has been doing is undertaking a thing called the International Student Survey. And we've been doing that for many years. Part of that is to gauge the ideas of prospective students about how they feel about certain aspects. We've just released our most recent result. But one of the first things that we did when the COVID-19 outbreak started to ramp up in February was start an ongoing survey of prospective international students' opinions when it comes to their studies from what they want to do, their plans because of COVID-19. Now, the thing that we've found is that most students are deferred, not deterred, which means that they very much want to continue studying abroad. And I was interested in seeing the poll results that 76% of everyone here said that they would they have applied to study abroad for autumn, and 70% said that if borders were open, they would continue. We got a little bit different. We said 3% in terms of for here, it was 3% said that if things were open in autumn, they wouldn't go, but for us, we found 6%. I think the results here are not particularly surprising. Me personally, I have just moved to Singapore in February as well, and part of my job has always been to travel. I love to travel and meet new people. So the fact that students are still very interested in trying to have an overseas experience doesn't surprise me. However, there are some of the other questions we ask have been around the use of online study and online programs, and those have presented some challenges, I think, for institutions. And I think if you look at the 60% only and don't drill down into it a little bit more, then you lose a little bit of that story there. So I think there's a caveat that I need to put on here as well, that it's very difficult to understand student motivations, especially when it's in the middle of an ongoing crisis. In February, when we first started the survey, we had 37% of our respondents say that they would delay or defer. So by May now, that has almost doubled to 60%. That said, however, I think when you look at the number of students who are still very interested in ensuring they go overseas, it tells for me two distinct stories. One is positive, the other is not negative, but something that institutions and students should be aware of. On the positive side of things, it means that the many benefits that we as a society get and students get from their overseas experiences, the cultural exchanges, making new friends, business opportunities that come to fruition will continue. COVID-19 certainly has not killed off the overseas travel market for education at all. The other side of that, for me, is something that I think institutions and students should be mindful of, which is that if there are a lot of deferments, there is only a certain amount of capacity that's available to cater to all those students, which means institutions in particular need to ensure that students are being communicated to effectively and that that capacity remains there for as long as possible so that we don't have what I'm sort of calling a bit of a lost generation. I think that going overseas for study, I didn't get to do that myself, but in my capacity as somebody that reports or used to report on it, certainly it's really opened up my mind to opportunities. So the other thing I suppose as well is that sorry, I'm just looking at a couple of things. It's interesting, there's another poll that's going on at the moment where there is 45% of respondents are saying that you're hopeful that for the upcoming semester for student mobility, 50% uncertain and 4% afraid. Now, I think that we need to bear in mind as well that the 6% that we found for the International Student Survey by QS, as well as the 3% that's found here, and the 4% on this one about being afraid is a very normal and natural way of thinking. Our International Student Survey finds that one of the primary motivators or the decision makers behind online education, sorry, not online education, going abroad is the parents, and parents, of course, are all very concerned for their children's safety. So I think that that's not particularly surprising. And the other thing that I mentioned as well for institutions, and I think students also should be asking this of their institutions or whatever provider they might go to if it's for an internship, is to ensure that there is sufficient information. So for our international survey, student survey, we found that so far 48% of students say that the most important information they want to receive is changes to application deadlines. So if your institution isn't providing that, and I'm sure that Asia Exchange is, it's vital that you make sure that you're proactive and you ensure that you're continuing to get information. Equally, as I said around the deferment, only 12% were interested in deferment. And I think that when we keep coming back to this, it is really very much everyone is very keen to continue going on. That's really about as much as I have to say. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Anton Kreis, and also follow our work along at qs.com as well. But otherwise, thank you very much for having me, and I'll pass it back over to Harry so that we can get on with the students, the student panel.
Okay, thank you, Anton, so much. I think that was a good statistics and from the field. So very good to hear about those things, and I hope that you are soon able to go to have a haircut as well, even though that long hair suits you pretty well.
Thank you very much.
But how is it like personally? How do you feel like in Singapore? You haven't lived there too long yet, but how is it that kind of now you are seeing the city there, but you are not able to step out too much? But is this worth of it? And when do you expect that everything ends and you are able to live normally?
Singapore is an interesting case. So at the moment, the government, we're in a thing called circuit breaker mode. So that's not lockdown. It's a little bit different. But what we're doing instead is we've been in circuit breaker now for almost 2 months. And then at the start of next month, we will start the first phase where things are slowly opened. That could last up to 6 weeks, depending on how the infection rates go. So I will potentially be indoors for another 6 weeks after this. And then we'll start to progress and we'll be able to do some more social stuff. So I can go shopping, I can buy some food, and I can actually get a haircut now, and I can get it styled on the 2nd of June. But it's still a long way along, and it's a good opportunity, I think, to practice resilience, to pick up some new skills. I've been taking the opportunity to relearn guitar, which I stopped playing for about 10 years, and I'm nowhere near as good as I used to be, but it's still fun to do.
Okay, thanks, Anton, for sharing. Very good to hear. And I understood you have lots of stuff to do, so please go back to do your stuff, or feel free to join the panelist discussion as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hey, the next agenda is about the panel discussion from students to students, and also if there are some parents or folks there behind the screens with your children, you are more than free also to pay attention. So my colleague Jonas will be hosting as a moderator the discussion, and let's first, I guess we will try that does the audio work, and present also the panelists. So Jonas, stage is yours.
Thank you, Harry. So on my behalf as well, welcome to all attendees today, and I'm here, Sales and Relationship Manager for Asia Exchange, and I've been here since January, so a new face in the team still today. But who have we got here today? So we've actually compiled some panelists who are currently abroad at several destinations that we have at Asia Exchange that are available through us currently. So we've got Ivan from Austria, who's studying at Hankook University of Foreign Studies in South Korea. We've got Ida Hyvärinen, a Finn former student, currently interning at Asia Exchange's partner organization, EduNation, and she's also doing some project-based work for the company here as well. We've also got Maxime here with us today from France, studying at Udayana University in Bali. And then we've got Arnaud Manfroy from France, studying at Xichien University in Taiwan. So quite a range of destinations here today, and hopefully we'll be able to get some student experiences from student to a student here today. But to start off, I'd like to ask all our panelists here why they've chosen to go to study abroad, and whether there was a reason you chose that specific destination for yourself. And of course, Ida, who is not currently studying abroad, we can maybe talk a little bit about why she has chosen to work in Vietnam currently. Yvonne, why don't you go first, and let's see if the audio is working.
Hello and welcome. Can you hear me?
Perfectly, yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. As already mentioned, my name is Yvonne and I'm 22 years old.
I think Yvonne, it cut off right now currently, so...
Sorry, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, there we go, perfect.
Perfect. Sorry, as I was saying, I'm currently studying here at Hankook University of Foreign Studies in South Korea. And for me personally, the main reason why I wanted to study here was to learn Korean, to become more independent, and to step out of my comfort zone. I think I've already been abroad 4 times now for different reasons, studying but also working abroad. And every single time I realized that I somehow, those challenges, in order to overcome those challenges, I had to step out of my comfort zone, and it resulted into personal growth and a life-changing experience, and that's why I decided to do it again.
What about Maxime? Surfer boy.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Great, awesome. Hello guys, thanks a lot for being here. That's awesome to be able to speak from student to student. So yeah, to go to Bali, mostly to work hard, as you can imagine. No, but more seriously, I wanted to go abroad because, yeah, as Ivana said, I think it's super important that in our youth, in 20, 22 years old, still very young, to be able to step out of all our comfort zone from our little Western bubble and discover a new culture, discover a new country, but not just for like 1 or 2 or 3 weeks with holiday with our friends, but really going alone, being in the middle of an environment that you don't really know, and just like try to learn how to, you know, be there on yourself and just discover more about yourself and also more about what you want to do later. I think it's a really important time for us, transition time, where we like want to go when we want to do later. So yeah, it's all that made me go to Bali, and I'm really happy to be here.
All right, that sounds like something that Harry was also talking about earlier in terms of his experiences. So I'm sure many of us as well at Asia Exchange are able to go along with that notion there. Arnaud, could I have a word from you as well regarding why you wanted to study abroad in Taiwan? I think we can't hear Arnaud currently, so would Ida like to continue maybe about a few words from Vietnam?
Yes, I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Perfect. So I had some typical network issues. That is sometimes the daily life here in Vietnam. But yeah, nice to meet you all. Greetings from Vietnam. My name is Ida. I've been here since January, working on a traineeship. Yes, it's been great so far.
All right. Yeah, I'd also like to mention here, during the panel discussion, feel free to post some questions in the Q&A section for our attendees, and we'll be able to answer some of those questions at the end of the panel discussion, whether those are for panelists or for us here at Asia Exchange. Maybe we can get into it. So a little bit about your experiences studying and working abroad currently. Maybe I'd like to ask Yvonne first, what was it like going to study in Korea during the start of the outbreak of Corona, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about what your expectations were and what the situation currently is.
Yes, thank you. I'd love to share my experiences. So I came here when I think the situation was at its worst, which was the end of February this year. And in fact, most of my friends and family tried to get me to cancel my semester abroad, but I was very persistent. I have to admit that I had already met a Korean friend in Vienna who had been an exchange student at our university in Vienna. And so I asked her in advance, how is the situation in Seoul? Can you maybe, advise me to go there, or would you rather tell me to cancel? So I did some research. I talked to people who are in Seoul, and I did some research online as well, looking at the statistics, looking at the numbers. And I think at the end of the day, you have to make the decision for yourself, because you have to be happy and you have basically to live with the situation and overcome the challenges that you're gonna face. But I came here and the situation was in fact very controlled. I don't know if some of you know about Korean society, but it's a very homogeneous society. People really try to work as a collective. They operate as a collective. So, for example, if the government basically sets the rules of, okay, you have to wear masks, people really do follow those rules. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Korea was able to overcome the situation with COVID-19 that well, and why even though we had an outbreak 2 weeks ago, they immediately got it under control and things are basically back to normal again. So that being said, what are the precautions the government here took? Beside masks and hand sanitizers, we have thermal cameras in huge shopping centers and also on the campus everywhere, which includes the dormitory as well. For example, I'm taking dancing classes here, and even at the dancing school, they're basically taking our body temperature every single time we go in there, and they're gonna ask you for your phone number if there is, a case that they can immediately contact you and ask you to go to the nearest hospital to get checked. The test is for free, and that assures that people don't endanger themselves, and that basically decreases the chances of another outbreak. And I think that Korea has been doing an amazing job at really keeping things under control, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Yeah, as Harry mentioned earlier, I think we can all agree that Korea has had a very well working model to prevent the uncontrollable version of the outbreak. So in that sense, they've been doing a very good job. And I think earlier we actually had a few questions in our Q&A asking how did students in Korea deal with 14-day quarantine there? So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So addressing the question of if I had to go into self-quarantine, I didn't have to back then. The rule didn't apply. It just applied, I think, for Chinese students when I came here. I know that currently the rule does apply to all international students, but that can also change. I also saw a question concerning having to pay for a certain facility. That is new to me. As far as I was informed by the Hankuk University here, you can either go into self-quarantine or you can choose to go into a separate isolation institution, which you have to pay for. But this is optional and this is not required as far as I understood from the email they sent out to us. They're doing a really good job here at communicating what is going on. I also have the feeling that they never tried to cover up, also not the media. They're very transparent about the information. if you have a Korean phone number, they will even send you, like back then when I came here, they sent us information on the increase or decrease of the cases, so the numbers on a daily basis. So you will get like, it's a warning and you have to like press OK in order to like get your phone back to normal. But I don't know, in fact, I didn't find it upsetting or terrifying, but you feel assured that there's nothing that is being kept from you. So I really like that.
That sounds very good indeed, very good indeed. And it sounds like you're feeling quite safe there currently. Then, of course, I'd like to hear what Arnaud, a little bit about Arnaud's experiences at the start of the semester in Taiwan. Of course, Taiwan being a neighboring country to China, where the corona outbreak started. Did that show at all at the start of the semester there, and what is it like currently? Can we hear Arnaud yet? Looks like we're still having some technical issues with Arnaud, but maybe we can move on. Ida, who has, as I mentioned before, been doing some project-based work for Asia Exchange as well, recently visited the Foreign Trade University campus, which is a new partner for Asia Exchange. Maybe Ida, could you share a few ideas or a few situational updates from the campus itself and from Vietnam as well?
Yes. So I did go visit the FTU campus here in Ho Chi Minh City. It's a really nice campus. It's a city campus close to the city center. A really small campus, so it's quite nice and feels really homey when you go there. They have been open for 2 weeks now. It's basically, life is back to normal there. Students are studying. Maybe the only thing that tells you that there has been this corona going on is the health check they do at the front door. So basically just see your temperature and that's it. I really like the campus. It's in a nice area, lots of nice restaurants and coffee shops nearby. Like I said, life here feels pretty much normal now. Vietnam has also been handling things pretty well. I've been pretty impressed by everything, all the actions they took already in January when I came here. And the statistics show that they were very successful, since there hasn't been any death cases, and there's still, I think it was less than 300 cases, which is, I think, pretty impressive, since Vietnam is also a neighboring country to China and the population is big. It's been really great. Everything is working normally. Restaurants, shops, movie theaters, gyms, everything is operating normally. So life here is pretty good.
Yeah, that definitely sounds very positive, and I'd also like to mention that from what we know here in Asia Exchange, and what Harry also mentioned in the beginning of his session here today, was that Hankuk University of Foreign Studies in Korea has also started on-campus classes for any courses with students under the amount of 30. So that's also a very positive thing. And unfortunately, we can't get Arnaud online currently, but Taiwan has actually been one of the role model countries in dealing with the situation as well. And they've been on campus for the whole spring semester and are currently still hosting their courses on campus. So very positive news from Taiwan as well. Then, of course, I'd like to hear about what Maxime's experiences were at Urayana University regarding Corona. I think, if I remember correctly, the semester was already ongoing there at the time, and they had to make a pretty quick switch to remote learning. What were your experiences with that, and how did you adjust?
To be honest with you guys, nobody really understands how Bali did such a great job regarding the virus, because at the end of the crisis, it's like officially only 4 people who are dead from the virus. That is way less than like scooter accident or surf accident or dinghy. So that doesn't really make any sense regarding the fact that the island is like so much, and it has still been to this day through all the crises, so much into religious ceremonies, spiritual ceremonies, all binding together all the time. Bali was also the island where there's so many Chinese tourists when the pandemic broke when the pandemic went kind of crazy in China. So we were expecting an outbreak every day. We were thinking we're gonna wake up and like the island is gonna be totally blocked. Like we were thinking that the government didn't want to give us any information regarding the virus. But at the end of the day, we never been in lockdown. We have been able to go to restaurants, to shops, to surf, to do anything we would do in a normal life. Except the only difference is that Bali is basically without tourists now. So Bali right now is like being Bali 50 years ago, which is probably in such a tourist island. Bali is a very touristic island, as you may know. So right now, I don't know how is it possible, but Bali went like super well in this crisis. I don't even know if they took such big measures because the government entirely, contrary to South Korea or Taiwan, doesn't really inform us of what's going on. To be honest, it's pretty unclear, it's pretty blurry. But on the same time, life is very great here, and it's like a little bubble. We haven't even felt that we were through crisis, except that everybody was leaving, but we made all the choice to stay. And for the moment, we just don't regret it 1 second.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. How about remote learning? What are your thoughts on that, Maxime? How has that been going?
Yeah, so I did, my semester was 4 months, so I did 2 months going to Diana University, so proper lesson, classic lesson, as you know, and then the 2 last months were effectively not in class, so they were through the computer, and it went pretty well actually. It was just a little bit rough because some of my friends were back in their home country, so we had some trouble with times. I never really know at what time I had to connect, but yeah, that was just a little bit of time to adapt myself about it. But the teachers were really, they were actually really good at all this informatic stuff that I didn't even really know, like all the webinars, Zoom, Dropbox stuff. They put a lot of stuff very fast into practice, so that was pretty easy for us. And yeah, it went pretty well. It was just a bit weird not to see all the friends in the class, but no, it went actually really well, and the teacher were really involved in this process. They were really like into helping us, like to do anything. If we don't understand something, a lesson or an assignment, we can text them, WhatsApp them. Some teachers were even on Instagram. One of my teachers called me on Instagram to say, "Hey, you forget to do an assignment." They were really connected, and that went really well.
Sounds very good. Sounds very good.
I'm also stepping here in because there's lots of questions coming, so thanks for those. And might be that Jonas is getting some of those. I'm also helping here. There's many to Bali and Korea, and I think Maxime, you already very well answered most of those. So to sum it up, yeah, there is restrictions, but you are able to go to restaurants, you are able to go to surf. There's not that much traffic, which is pretty good thing. And then there was a question about the accommodation. Somebody have heard that when Bali opens for tourism again, only a few high-class hotels will be supposed to be open first. So how do you see, Maxime, this? How is the accommodation thing in Bali?
Well, I should have talked about it because accommodation is the also actually great thing. It's weird to say, but during this virus, the accommodation, everything is way cheaper because, as you may have understood, tourists are not here anymore. So people need to fill their hotel house rooms, and so we can really have really cheaper price in the moment. And it will take, for the next semester, it will take a lot of time for the tourists to come back because there is kind of an inertia in this problem for sure. So the accommodation issue will not be an issue at all, given the fact that there are plenty of rooms. People in Bali, once again, everything is open here, so they're just waiting for tourists, waiting for students, waiting for anyone to come to do business. In Bali, it's a lot of, they do business first. That's what matters here. So they're just waiting for people to come. And so you will not have any problem finding an accommodation, a room, and you will find it actually for a way, way cheaper price than you would have in like kind of normal Bali year. Which is absolutely awesome for a student who's looking for maybe sometimes to save a little bit, to put some money into party, or I don't know, but to put money in something else. It's always great to save money when you're abroad. So yeah, accommodation is really not an issue right now.
Yeah, still one more important question concerning accommodations. This, of course, every student is interested that even you are having an affordable housing there, are you still having your own swimming pool?
The question is if having a house really important?
I meant maybe the line was breaking up, but are you still having your own swimming pool despite of affordable housing?
Oh, I mean, basically every house, even every apartment has its private swimming pool. It's like having a bathroom in Bali. So it's not very ecological, but it's really nice when it's very hot outside and you really need to be if you want outside, either you be in the sea surfing, either you're in the swimming pool. Otherwise, it's pretty hot all day. So yeah, basically all houses have a swimming pool if it was the question.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
What about Ivan? How has the corona situation over there in Korea changed your study habits currently?
Yes, so thank you very much, everyone, for all of your questions. We're going to go through them in just a minute. To reply to your question, since like the beginning of May, some classes, all classes which have less than 30 students are offline classes. So they're basically normal classes like you're used to probably from your home university. And all of the other classes are online classes. Unfortunately for me, I'm taking classes that the majority of them has at least 60 students. But for example, my French course is taking place offline, which is really nice. We're 6 people. And obviously, because it's a language course, it's charming to talk to people face to face. I think that's the best way to study a language anyway. I cannot really say. I saw a question concerning the networking and if I feel like more lonely or if that has affected the situation here, has affected my way of meeting new people. And I can assure you that this is not the case. I mean, I do admit that especially at the beginning when I came here, I spent more time in the dormitory, but actually I met a lot of great people here in the dormitory. I made friends with like a Colombian girl, an Italian girl, French people, Russian people, and Korean people, because on my floor, Koreans and foreign students are mixed. So it was really nice to get to know people that way, Polish people as well, by the way. And yes, you meet up, you eat together, you can go out. So you were never restricted in that sense that you were not allowed to go out and that the government somehow monitored that. And yes, studying has been okay. We have something which is called eClass. That's our website we use. And the teachers post assignments and announcements and video classes online. And they do communicate quite effectively. So you get grades online. They do reply to emails really, really quickly, I have to say. And although I've never done it, it's something I was able to get used to easily.
What about a little bit more of a general question here from the audience is how good were your language skills when you went abroad through Asia Exchange to your respective destinations? Has your level of English been enough, and has English in itself been enough to communicate in Bali and South Korea? And what about Vietnam?
I'll just go ahead.
Go ahead.
When I came here, I didn't speak any Korean, so it was not like that I was prepared in the sense of Korean. I my study program in Austria is taught in English, so I came over with a quite confident level of English. But I think it's really nice if you just know the basics of a language and you quickly teach yourself how to say hello, thank you. People really appreciate it here. Even though I'm still an A1 level in Korean, not even, if I'm being honest with you. It's really, really nice how people react, how the locals react if you just bow and you say 안녕하세요. People are really happy and they really appreciate it. They make you feel welcome, they make you feel comfortable. And I think it's beautiful if you're able to communicate, even though there's an obvious language barrier. I think just having the courtesy to bow and say 안녕하세요, people already see that you're making an effort, and I think that's beautiful.
What about Maxime? Do you have any comments regarding language skills?
So yeah, as you can hear right now, my English not as good as Ivan's. I'm kind of ashamed to go after every time. So I'm French. So if you can hear Arno, it's basically the same. So it's not very fair for French people to compare our level in English with everyone around the world, like German or people from Scandinavian countries. Anyway, going to Bali really helped me to speak English, basically, because all my lessons were in English. All my friends were speaking. We're speaking in English together. So it really helps me to be more confident, more fluid in my English, even if you can hear that I have to make a lot of progress still. But my level in Indonesian is actually, of course, way better than when I arrived in Bali. It was not hard because I couldn't know a single word. But it's when you learn a language and you live in the country where you learn the language, it's absolutely amazing because you can learn in the morning a word and you can use it in the afternoon to go to the supermarket or to talk with everybody local. And I think it's super amazing to see how also, as Yvonne was saying, locals act when they see a little blonde guy who's able to speak a little bit of Indonesian. They're like, wow, okay, this guy is not just like a regular tourist. He's trying to make effort to like really fit into the community, fit into the country. And I really like this feeling. I really like the spirit of like not just being here and just enjoying partying and stuff, but really feel like you're becoming a little bit local when you speak the language, you know? So that's great to be able to learn the language and all the same time to practice it every day. But still, my level is not amazing, of course, but it's better every day.
If I may comment, Maxime, on this, that and maybe not all the students are thinking about it, but Bahasa Indonesia, the language that also in Bali is spoken, that's the 6th most spoken language in the world. There is more than 2 times more Indonesian language speakers than French speakers, for example. Almost 3 times more, actually. So it really it's a good thing to have also in your CV, and in addition, it's one of the most easiest languages to learn in the world. So really, we encourage everybody, no matter where you go, to learn a little bit, at least, of the local language as well. There was also related to Bali one question. It might be that from Asia Exchange we are able to answer that the best. It was related to the student visas, and at the moment that it's not possible to apply for a student visa to Indonesia. And it doesn't apply only to Indonesia, but also to other countries. But the good thing here is now, when you are thinking that there's all these kind of restrictions, like no flights available, or no visas, or travel bans, and so on and so on. But it's kind of a snowball effect that once governments open up the borders, then it's much easier. Then it means that, okay, then it's possible to go to the embassy in your home country and apply for a visa. Then there's also flights available. And actually the flights necessarily are not like filthy expensive. They might be like normal level, sometimes even cheaper. Some of the hotels are only half price of the normal price of the hotels in Asia at the moment. But we are now racing against the time, and most likely within a couple of weeks, it's more clear that when it is possible to open up the societies, when the European societies open up more and lift the travel bans, so it's possible to go. Also, if you are not a diplomat or very VIP person, but a student who wants to experience the lifetime experiences.
There was also a question about the Taiwanese visa and when it would be possible to apply for that. It's currently possible and in order to attend the autumn semester, you should be applying this week actually. So for the person asking that, make sure you get that done this week. Would Ida like to share a few words from Vietnam regarding how you're faring there with the English language, and if your Vietnamese has improved while you're there?
Yes. So Ho Chi Minh City is probably the most international city in Vietnam. So we have a lot of expats here. So English is definitely, you will be fine with English, but like the others said, it's always good to learn some local language. I have learned some basic stuff like how to say hi and the numbers. It helps when you go to the shops and you want to buy some food. But other than that, I think you can manage with English pretty well. And I think language is not something you should worry about when coming here. It's kind of nice that everyone is speaking English, even though it's not their first language, but still you can manage with English, and of course body language is always there, so no worries regarding to that.
Then there was a question here from the audience whether you've been able to have a decent and fun student experience, or are there many things that you, for example, expected to do but aren't able to do currently?
That's for anybody.
Yes.
This question.
Well, I can say that well, Vietnam didn't have a full lockdown or anything. We only had nationwide social distancing, which lasted maybe 3 or 4 weeks. During that time, we were not allowed to do a lot of things, but other than that, it has been okay. And right now, the government is even encouraging people to travel. For domestic travel, everything is basically possible. For example, this week I'm flying to Hanoi, which is another city in the north, and it's pretty much normal. And if you were planning to come and study here this fall, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same.
Does Maxime or Yvonne want to add in terms of Bali or Korea?
Yes, so regarding the situation in South
Go ahead, Yvonne.
regarding the situation in South Korea, there also has never been a complete lockdown, and in fact, shops were able to decide on autonomic basis if they wanted to stay open or close. That is still the case, although nearly everything is open so far as I know. Also, libraries recently opened around 1 month ago, and life is, I would say, completely back to normal. I never felt like there were huge restrictions. I think that the government definitely encouraged people to stay inside when it was at its worst. But as I already mentioned, the Korean society really likes to follow rules, and they try to basically stick to the rules. So it wasn't that much of an issue. I never felt isolated in that sense. So I went outside. I went to go to eat with friends. We visited like monuments here. We did some sightseeing. We went, like, for example, to the Gangnam statue in the city center. We went to Lotte World. We went to the Lotte World Tower. We did some shopping in the underground subway shopping centers, which was really nice. Yes, so life was definitely normal, and I never felt isolated, or I never felt restricted in that sense. Yes. I also read a question regarding the so-called second wave, which happened 2 weeks ago. So basically the case was that there were 3 students, and they went to a club in Itaewon, which is a district here in Seoul. But yes, there was an outbreak, but everyone immediately got tested. The government and all universities reacted really, really quickly, and people got tested, so it wasn't that much of an issue. And within 1 week, they had it under control, and I think there were not a lot of infected people, as far as I know. So I can definitely assure you that life is back to normal. I don't know what normal is, as I came here and I'm not a local here, but I feel safe and I feel happy, and I think that's the most important thing. As long as you feel safe and happy, you're definitely good to go.
I think, Maxime, you were about to say something as well.
Yeah, sorry, Ivan. So yeah, no, as I was saying, in Bali, basically everything stayed kind of the same. The main difference is once again that basically every tourist left and no tourist came back because they couldn't. The main difference would be for me that I wasn't able really to travel inside Indonesia. You know, Indonesia is like 13,000 islands, so there's so many stuff to see in Indonesia. Bali is beautiful, but Indonesia is as well super beautiful. So I'm a bit frustrated because the flight between islands or the ferries between islands has been cancelled to prevent this pandemic to rise even more. Of course, that makes total sense. But and the only other stuff it was that the beaches were closed, but I mean they were closed, but on the same time they were not really closed because they were just putting like little fence saying it's closed, and everybody was still surfing. So we kind of still surf, even if it's not very nice or very great, not to respect the rules. It was kind of weird because everything was open and they just say, yeah, okay, we're going to put a little fence, say the beaches are closed. But that doesn't really make sense, right? It was not the problem. Anyway, so the life when basically this was basically the same before and after, or during this actually, and yeah, I feel so lucky to have been in this bubble, and a bit selfish sometimes when I think about all my friends back home who are kind of like cheating on the pandemic to be here, but yeah, it was really a really good life still.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. There was also a question from the audience whether Taiwan is currently hosting online courses or if they're on campus. And as I mentioned earlier, they've been on campus all spring, and they're planning to host their semesters on campus, the upcoming autumn semester as well, as is the case with our partners in Bali as well as our partners in South Korea currently.
Yeah, was it so that Arnaud has a crash with his computer?
Yeah, unfortunately, Arnaud is having.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah,
there we go. There we go.
Yeah. Okay, I made it. I'm sorry, guys, for the convenience. Yeah, I had some troubles with my laptop, so now I'm using my roommate's laptop. Sorry for that, guys. So let me introduce. Yeah. So I'm Arnaud. I'm French, and I moved in Taiwan, precisely in Taipei, in the capital, at the beginning of February. And actually, I'm studying in Xi'an University in Taiwan. I can talk about the situation. Actually, like in Taiwan, the situation is really good. Like, we never had any lockdown in the country. Just we had some like we have to wear a mask everywhere. Like almost 100% of the population is wearing a mask, keeping social distancing, and because of this, we can still live. I can still go to school, go to bar, go to restaurants, and I can still visiting Taiwan. I made a road trip like few days before. It was amazing because there is not a lot of tourists there, so you can like spend your time on the beach and there is no one. So yeah, I think I'm one of the lucky one in the world actually who decided to come here in Taiwan, even if it's like an unknown country. Taiwan, not a lot of people know this country, but yeah, I'm enjoying my semester actually, and I'm glad to decided to come here.
And what about the school? How have they enforced any testing or other measures to prevent the spread?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, of course. Like if you want to go to school, you have to wear a mask. If you don't have any mask, you can't go in. And then there is a checking temperature. So every time if you want to go in, they are checking your temperature. And if you're above 37.5 degrees, they won't accept you inside. So yes, there are a lot of measures which the government had taken, and it's good because of this we can still attend to class, and it's more sympathetic to go in a country and still going out, and yeah, we can go. Like the government took a lot of great measures, and that's why in Taiwan, like there are no more cases of corona actually.
That's good to hear. Yeah, it's very good examples from Taiwan, how they have been handling the situation there. And personally, I have visited only once in Taiwan. That was when we signed up the agreement with Xi'an University. But how do you feel there? It's a kind of an island, but do you feel, is it enough big for you? Is there enough stuff for one semester, or could you consider being even longer than one semester in Taiwan?
Yeah, Taiwan is not that big, that's true, but there is a lot of things to do because as I told you earlier, it's like an unknown country. So a lot of people don't know the famous places here. And I'm really glad because of this of this situation, because of the Corona area. I planned before to come here to visit Japan, go to South Korea also, but because I can't leave Taiwan, I decided with my friends to just visit this island, and I'm really glad because I just discovered a lot of beautiful landscapes, like there are little islands around Taiwan, and you can see like sea turtles there. You can hike on the mountain in the middle, and like for me, it was my first time in Asia, so the Taiwanese culture like just shocked me because like there is no similarity with French culture and Taiwanese culture. So because of the situation, I was locked down in Taiwan, and that's not bad finally because I know a lot of things about Taiwan now. I'm almost Taiwanese.
Okay, Jonas, do you have some questions for panelists, or are we taking some from the audience?
Yeah, maybe I'd like to generally ask, you know, what will you guys be taking home from your time abroad in your respective countries? Is there anything new you've learned or any new experiences you've had that you'd like to mention? This is for anyone.
I can say at least I have already made a lot of friends here. So that is one of the most important things. When you go abroad, you meet people from all around the world. And that's something definitely I'm bringing home with me. So hopefully we'll keep in touch. And yeah, it's been a great experience getting to know the culture here. I think this place is a cool mix of the modern society and then the history of Vietnam. So it's been a really good learning experience for me.
Yeah, when you live 6 or 4 months abroad, you come back in your home country. I mean, I've not come back. I've not been yet in France back, but I already know that I'm gonna be like almost a different person when you live all your life in France and you go for 6 months in Indonesia. It's like another life, another spirit. So ultimately, you ask yourself a lot of questions. You kind of look for like more purpose in your life, in your professional life. I mean, it was for me kind of like an existential way also to like, find more about yourself, find more about what makes you happy. I think traveling, being far from everything you know, from everybody you know, everyone you know as well, is an awesome way just to be more yourself, to ask you the good questions, and to really move forward when you're back in France, back in your home country, to do whatever you want, to do whatever makes you more happy. So I would say that I would come back in France with, of course, this new language, this new culture, but mostly with more insights about myself. I don't know if it really makes sense, but that's really what I feel like. I was traveling also to find more about myself, and I think that's an awesome way to do it. And I think we all have to go out of our comfort zone to understand a lot of things about us.
All right, guys, thanks for those answers. There's also a question here in the Q&A section, whether it's possible the semester will not take place in Bali if enough people don't register. But as we at Asia Exchange do not have any student quotas or any minimum limits for students or maximum limits for students, the semesters are due to take place as long as borders are open and we can get our students abroad.
I can also mention that Bali is a very popular destination, and at the moment we have something like 200 students going to Bali in total for next autumn. So it's not an issue not having enough students. And we have 3 partner universities there. One of them is so that you are studying all the classes together with the local students, because the local students are also studying in English language, all their classes. So this is UNTITLED, the newest partner that we have. So there's not that kind of issue at the moment, and will not be. Let's take a few more questions from the audience. So there was, for example, that somebody was applying to Udayana with a friend, and might be that they are not allowed to go because of a home university or home government decision. Is it possible to postpone to a second semester and go to, for example, 2021? So yes, definitely it is, and it's easy for us. And this is exactly the flexibility we want to give to you, that if it's not possible for some reason, it might be out of your reach, the reason, we are able to register you for any upcoming semester, definitely. And just let us know, and we can do it very easily. So most likely you don't need to even send out new application or the documentation. We just register you and send you the confirmation. Let's see if some more. Is it possible to cancel like 1 week before the semester beginning? Is there a deadline for cancellation? How much does it cost? So usually in our terms and conditions, even without Corona, you are able to cancel 1 month before the start of the semester without any extra costs. But only the registration fee we are not returning. But in this case, we are returning even the registration fee of 75 or 50 euros. And because of the COVID-19, is there anything, Jonas, you want to fulfill my answer?
Yeah, so of course we're trying to be as flexible as we can with that, and as Havani said earlier, we're also accepting postponing the semester free of charge currently. And if you do happen to postpone after 1 month before the semester starts, you will be getting a partial refund of your semester even then.
And we also have all these refund policies on our website, so you can go and check those out. And actually we have like a very up-to-date information about COVID-19 in different countries, so that's available there. So please go and check it out.
We also have a question here for Maxime, whether it's possible to get your contact information to ask certain questions about Bali directly. Would Maxime maybe like to share his contact details, or you can, for example, also go to our website and find our ambassadors who are student ambassadors or former students who have studied in Bali, and get in touch with them. I'm sure they'll be very ready to share their experiences as well.
Yeah, that's also like if Maxime if you don't want to type in your contact details here, but you allow us to give them for somebody asking, somebody can be in touch with us and we can link you with Maxime, and that's one way how we can, of course, do it.
Exactly.
Okay, somebody's asking, did I get it right? Are the next semester courses planned to be online in Bali? Well, no, they are planned to be on campus. Only if the situation is still so that it's not safe to be at the campus, then they will introduce online classes. But our estimation now is, and the university's estimation have been, that it is still possible, and most likely they want to start normal classes. A little bit, by the way, recent updates from today, we were in touch with, for example, our Balinese universities and asked that what do they think if somebody's arriving late, like 1 week or 2 weeks late, because of some obligations at home country, or maybe not getting good flights or whatever reason, and they said that yes, it's possible that you are able to come a little bit late. And if there is like more than 2 weeks delay that you would be able to go to the destination, let us know, and usually we are able to influence for the university so that they can make exceptions.
There's a question here for Yvonne as well, whether Koreans are open to talk to foreigners in terms of language or language barriers. Any thoughts on that, Yvonne?
Yes, I think if you approach people with a smile about an 안녕하세요, people are already going to be very happy. It is true that Koreans are a little bit shy when it comes to their English. They do understand English quite well, but they somehow feel embarrassed about their English speaking skills. So it might take a while for people to warm up to you when it comes to speaking English, and you might have to convince them a little bit that it's okay if they speak English and that it doesn't sound embarrassing or it doesn't sound weird, because that's how they see it, because they usually perceive foreigners for like the general picture is that foreigners have a better level of English when they come to South Korea. So obviously they feel somehow worse in comparison to foreigners when it comes to their English speaking abilities. But I think, as I've already said, it's not about being able to speak Korean fluently or for the other person to speak English fluently. It's about small little words. For example, my dancing classes are entirely taught in Korean, and my teacher is somehow afraid to speak English, but it somehow works out because I use the Korean I have to offer, and she uses the English she has to offer, and we somehow make it work, and I think that's really great. And that's also somehow a tool which we use to bond even more. And I think I have a great relationship with her. Like the last time when I went outside of class in the evening, she told me, Yvonne, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. So it is really nice that you can somehow still bond with people like that, despite the language barrier. So be confident, speak Korean as much as you can, and try to assure the Korean person you're talking to that it is okay if they make mistakes in English. I think that's the most important thing.
Okay, questions are flooding in, so let's continue with Korea. So Yvonne, what is your opinion? Is it possible to go to study for next semester in Hankuk University of Foreign Studies?
I have a positive attitude when it comes to the future here in Seoul and the situation with COVID-19. I think if you want to come to South Korea in September, it is definitely going to be possible. I do not think that there will be another outbreak. Obviously, I don't know, but that's my opinion. I really do feel like everything is under control, and if there would be another outbreak, people would have it under control. So
yeah. So yes, to answer that audience question, the application is open, and Korea is at the moment one of the the biggest likelihood that the semester will run normally. That's in Korea, so no problems with that.
There's also a question here from the audience about the situation in Malaysia and what the chances of going abroad next September are. So UPM, our partner in Malaysia, has postponed the start of the semester by a few weeks, but currently we don't have any official statements that going abroad to study in Malaysia or UPM would be a problem next semester.
We, however, want to highlight that no matter what is your current plan, your number one plan, it is always good, like we are now in our application form asking that what is your second option if for some reason you are not able or willing to go to the number one option. So that's always good to keep in mind and think about, okay, if not Malaysia, for example, what would be my second choice? And then if needed, we are able to transfer you very quickly to any other destination of ours. And yeah, as mentioned at the moment, the situation in Malaysia is actually good. The businesses have been starting to open like a month ago already. And life is pretty normal, but of course they are extra cautious there so that the situation wouldn't get out of control. Somebody was asking about Facebook groups. Yeah, that's our normal procedure that we are always creating Facebook groups for each of the destinations, each of the semesters. And now, as our deadlines are later than usually, we need to open up the Facebook groups already earlier than the deadlines for the Facebook groups for the applications are. So yeah, I think in the beginning of June we will be already opening up the Facebook groups, and you can see who are your fellow students and find roommates and make contact already online before meeting at the destination. Somebody was also asking about China situation and with the visas and situation at the moment. So yeah, at the moment, like in any countries, the issue might be that difficult to book an appointment at the embassy and apply for the visa, but it might be much better already, like after 1 week or 2 weeks, and you can go and apply for the student visa. And what we are also doing at this very moment at Asia Exchange, so we are in touch with the embassies in different countries like Indonesia, China, Korea, Malaysia, so on, in France, in Finland, in Germany, Netherlands, and other countries, and asking any updates and to keep us updated proactively about the situations.
There's also a question here about whether this autumn semester in Siam University in Thailand will take place. Currently, the situation is the same as with UPM in Malaysia. We do not have any official statements that they would not be taking place. But of course, as Harri mentioned, it's always good to keep in mind a backup plan in terms of your semester abroad. But actually, maybe we should start wrapping this up, and I would maybe like to wrap it up by having our panelists maybe throw out a few tips to our students and their parent, and hopefully their parents watching as well, on living abroad or studying abroad. Would maybe Arnaud like to go first here?
If I would love to give you some tips if you want to go in Taiwan, is just do not be afraid about Taiwanese culture, because people here are really shy, I would say. So not really good in English, but is already kind. And moreover, I think for you, if you want to have a good semester here, you should book an hotel when you arrive in Taiwan, because here's a lot of students. We are looking for co-living area, and in your school you will find some students which are looking for a flat, a sharing flat, and then you can live with some students here. For me, for example, I did that. I just arrived there and I just booked an hotel for 2 weeks, and I found some Koreans and French, and actually I'm living with 4 people, and I'm sharing my flat with South Koreans and French. So yeah, I think it's better here, because when you're having a semester abroad, usually you don't have a lot of class. For me, it's 3 days of class per week, so you have a lot of time to discover the island, discover the city. So it's good to do it with other people, obviously. And what could I say? Yeah, and then moreover, no, that's all. I think so. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Does Maxime have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's in Bali. If you study in Bali, basically you have 2 options. Either you live basically in the north of Bali, around Canggu, basically a lot of money, so basically university. So a lot of students, but from my point of view, it's local. It's more experience, Instagram experience, and you can also choose to live in the south, close to the university, and that's way more local, and you're close to the best surf spots in Bali. It's more wild. It's beaches are surrounded by beautiful cliffs. The nature is beautiful. So that would be one of my tips. I mean, think about what kind of semester you want in Bali. You can either really choose more semester, a lot of party, a lot of Western stuff, or you can choose a semester with more a connection to the local community, to the true Balinese spirit, which is more in the south, but that's more calm, it's more quiet. So this choice was for a lot of students a big dilemma. But it also depends if you want to surf or not. But anyway, there's so many stuff. But yeah, basically, Balinese people are very, very welcoming. They know, I mean, it's a very touristic island, so they're used to have Western people around. So unless Thailand, they were shy. But as I said before, it's amazing if you can show them that you're not just like a regular tourist who's just here to take pictures on the beach, but who also wants to like have the local community who are going to little restaurants, local restaurants, to go to little everything that you can do. If you do it local, it's always better. If you can always try to bond with people, speak with them, they will be always so happy to speak with you. They will welcome you with a big smile on their face. Maybe because they want you to pay more, but they are very good. They really like business here. But no, they're really, really nice people. Bali is amazing, and I guess Bali is just waiting for you guys.
Thank you, Maxime. Thank you, Maxime. Could Ida and Yvonne shortly have a few words as well? We can move on.
Yes, I would just say just keep an open mind, and studying abroad will be one of the best experiences of your life. I have done it twice before, and I believe that has helped me in working life as well. Opened a lot of international work opportunities, and I'm here in Vietnam now, and I can definitely recommend this country as a study destination. And regards to Corona, I believe this is one of the best places to be right now. So hope to see students here next fall.
Yes, regarding the situation in South Korea, I'm currently here and I can assure you that I'm having a great time. I'm happy that I decided to come here despite what everyone else said in my home country. And yes, why can I recommend South Korea? Well, my love for kimchi, definitely, and the Korean food. Then I made amazing friends here, and I'm really happy that I was able to meet those people. I will be leaving in 5 weeks from now, and yesterday I talked to my family and I said that I'm surely going to cry when I get on that plane. So, and also the architecture and the culture. I mean, those temples and the palaces, it's just so pretty, the mint green colors and the pink. And also Han River, I love running like besides along Han River. It's really, really beautiful. And so definitely, if you want to have a good time, if you want to learn Korean, study Korean, get in touch with the Korean culture and Korean people, go to Noraebang, have a good time at a karaoke bar, and eat kimchi as much as you want to, then I can definitely recommend South Korea to you, and I hope that we'll be able to maybe meet here very soon.
Very nice greetings there from Yvonne, and I was also very happy to meet you and your fellow students in Korea. You are an excellent group of students, and happy to hear you are having a great time there. We got so many questions that we didn't have a chance to answer all of those. But please remember, you can always come to our website. We have a live chat there during the daytime, and also emails are working, phone is working, and WhatsApp is there. So throw us any questions you have. We still have a few more things to go, so don't disappear anywhere. A couple of more minutes, please pay attention.
And thank you to all the panelists. So big thanks from the whole team here at Asia Exchange for taking the time to come and talk with us today.
Yeah, maybe not all of you realize, but it's something like 10, 11 p.m. already in some of those Asian countries. Thanks, guys, for that. And you can still hang on a couple of minutes with us and then go to sleep, so you have energy tomorrow morning.
Exactly. But yeah, of course, we wanted to provide a few tips from ourselves as well for current applicants who have already applied to study through us, and for those wishing to apply. So if you have already applied to study for next autumn semester, we wanna let you know that you should obviously plan your travels with flexibility in mind. The situation is uncertain, of course. We do not yet know if all the borders will open, but we're trying to stay positive over here. And and keep you guys up to date with the situation. And as Harry mentioned earlier, of course, you should also keep yourself up to date with the situation regarding any travel restrictions, any visa issues, and be sure to take a look at our COVID-19 updates on our website. We update them weekly, if not daily, in regards to any important highlights on each destination. And those, of course, wishing to apply, you can make use of our flexible and safe application process and deadlines. And of course, let's say you've applied through your home university through, for example, a bilateral agreement. You can always use Asia Exchange as a backup option to go abroad next autumn as well. And last but not least, we've of course got our application deadline for next semester. So for June 30th, Malaysia is still open, Siam University, Hankook, and Udayana University in Bali, as well as the new addition to our partner universities, Foreign Trade University, Ho Chi Minh City. For July 30th, we've still got Warmadeva University available in Bali, and July 31st, Undiknas and Shanghai University in Shanghai, China.
And as an addition, we are missing one university from there, which is UTCC, this University of Thai Chamber of Commerce, and that deadline is in end of June. So definitely a good option as well. And still hang on there for a little while. So we are having also scholarships available, even though the prices are as affordable as it can be if you need to pay for your studies. But we are having our big spring raffle, so there will be one student who is getting a 100% study abroad scholarship to study in a chosen destination, chosen semester in Asia. So all of you are automatically registered into this, and we will let you know if you win it. There's also a 50% scholarship, so basically you will be paying less than €1,000 of the semester if you win it. And these are applying for Vietnam and this new university, UTCC in Thailand, for the next upcoming autumn semester. There was, I think, one more thing to come up. So those who are still kind of already in advance looking for opportunities for 2021 onwards, these are something special we are coming up. So we are having this environmental sustainability program in Bali and also a digital nomad program. Very interesting programs that you are spending less time in the classrooms, but more meeting entrepreneurs, more meeting different organizations who are trying to save the world, and you are able to take part on that. But just keep an eye on our website for these new programs as well. I think at this point we need to wrap it up. We are 4 minutes over time. We want to thank you for your time, and what can I say? Let's be positive and stay negative, meaning that let's be cautious and safe, but still think that the whole world is going to get better. This is not something that our humankind wouldn't have met before as well, and we have been able to overcome those. Now it's just more around us because of social media, all this news and everything, and more mobility. So that it's kind of closer to us, even though we are not affected ourselves too often. But what I don't want to happen is that too many students would need to give up of their dreams of studying abroad. That's the best thing you can achieve. So if it's not possible now, then do it later. That's my only recommendation. I think we can assure you here that Asia Exchange will do everything they can to get you guys abroad next autumn. And of course, as safely as possible as well. Yes. We will be hosting more webinars as well. One specific for Bali. It's coming up in next month, I believe, and we will be sending more information about that as well. You will be getting this presentation afterwards, so please read it through, and if you know more people interested, you can always mention about studying Asia. Thank you, everybody. Have an excellent rest of the day. And thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.